Marcus was driving home late in the evening, the sound of his truck's engine humming steadily under the quiet night sky. The two-lane road stretched ahead, empty and dark, except for the faint glow of his headlights bouncing off the asphalt. It was one of those roads that seemed to go on forever, with nothing but tall grass on either side and the occasional tree swaying in the soft wind. Marcus liked the peacefulness of the drive, but tonight there was something different in the air. Up ahead, a pair of flashing hazard lights caught his attention. They blinked weakly in the darkness, almost fading in and out, like a signal struggling to stay alive. As he got closer, he saw a small silver car pulled over to the side. It was angled awkwardly, the front right tire flat against the road. Next to the car stood a woman, holding her stomach and glancing nervously in both directions. Marcus slowed down and stopped a few feet behind her car. He rolled down his window and called out in a calm voice. "Everything all right, ma'am? Side, eh?" Woman turned toward him. In the glow of his headlights, Marcus could see she was pregnant, probably in her late 20s. Her hands rested gently over her belly, and her face showed both tiredness and worry. She gave a small, relieved smile, as if she had been waiting for someone to come along. "My tire went flat," she said, "and I don't know how to change it." Her voice was soft with a strange, lilting tone that Marcus could not quite place. Marcus turned off the engine, stepped out of the truck, and walked toward her. "Don't worry," he said. "I can help with that." The cool night air brushed against his face as he approached the car. He noticed right away that there was something unusual about her. Her eyes, even in the dim light, had a faint silver shimmer, almost like moonlight reflecting on water. Her clothes looked different too, not the kind of fabric you normally saw. The material seemed to shift slightly when she moved, catching the light in strange ways. Marcus pushed the thoughts aside. Maybe it was just his imagination. People wore all kinds of clothing these days, and the lighting could be playing tricks on him. He knelt by the flat tire, checking the damage. "Looks like something sharp got you," he said, spotting a small piece of metal embedded in the rubber. He popped the trunk to get the spare and tools. The woman stepped closer, her eyes watching him with a mixture of curiosity and gratitude. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Most people just drive past." Marcus gave a small smile as he loosened the bolts. "Well, my grandmother always told me that if you can help someone, you should. You never know when you might need help yourself." She seemed to think about that for a moment, then nodded. "That is a wise thing to believe." They worked in silence for a few minutes. Marcus focused on the tire, the woman shifting her weight as if she were uncomfortable standing still for too long. Every so often he caught her glancing down the road, as if expecting someone, or something, to appear. "You expecting someone?" Marcus asked casually. Her silver eyes flickered toward him. "No," she said quickly. "I just don't like being out here alone." Marcus tightened the last bolt on the spare tire and stood up, wiping his hands on a rag from his truck. "All done," he said. "You should be good to go now." She looked at the car, then back at him. "You did that very quickly," she said, almost surprised. Marcus chuckled. "I've changed more than a few tires in my time. Comes with living out here in the country." She smiled faintly, but there was still tension in her posture. Marcus noticed her glancing toward the sky now, her eyes scanning the dark as if looking for something far above. "You sure you're all right?" he asked. "You seem a little nervous." For a moment, she hesitated. Then she gave a small shake of her head. "It is nothing, just a long day." Marcus did not press further. People had their reasons for being guarded, and he had no wish to pry. Still, there was something about her, the unusual shimmer in her eyes, the strange material of her clothes, the way she kept scanning the surroundings, that made him curious. He stepped back toward his truck. "Well, you take care now," he said. "Drive safe." But before he could get inside, the woman spoke again. "Wait," she said softly. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus turned back. "Sure." She seemed to search for the right words. "If someone was in danger," she began slowly, "and they had nowhere else to go, would you help them?" It was a strange question to ask a stranger on the side of the road. Marcus thought for a moment, then gave a simple answer. "If I could help, I would. That's just how I was raised." Her eyes softened, but there was still an unspoken worry behind them. "That is good to know," she said quietly. Marcus nodded, unsure what else to say. The night air felt heavier now, like the quiet before a storm. Somewhere in the distance, a faint hum echoed in the sky. Too soft to be a plane, too smooth to be a truck on the road. Marcus glanced up but saw only darkness and stars. The woman noticed the sound, too. Her shoulders tensed, and her hand moved instinctively to her belly. For the briefest moment, Marcus thought he saw a flicker of fear in her silver eyes. She gave a quick smile that did not quite reach her eyes. "Thank you for your help," she said. "I will not forget it." Marcus stood there for a moment, watching as she climbed back into her car. He could not shake the feeling that something unusual had just happened. Something that went beyond a simple flat tire. But for now, all he could do was get back into his truck and continue down the dark, quiet road. What Marcus did not know was that this small act of kindness was only the beginning of something far greater and far stranger than anything he had ever imagined. Marcus drove down the road, but his mind was not on the journey. The strange encounter with the pregnant woman kept replaying in his head. The way her eyes shimmered in the headlights, the unusual fabric of her clothing, the way she kept glancing at the sky. It all left a quiet itch in his thoughts that he could not shake. He had gone about 2 miles when he noticed headlights growing smaller in his rearview mirror. She was still pulled over, her hazard lights off now. Something in his gut told him he should not just leave it at that. He slowed his truck and pulled over onto the shoulder. For a moment he sat in silence, the engine idling softly. Then he sighed, turned the truck around, and headed back. When Marcus pulled up, the woman was still standing beside her car, but now she looked more anxious than before. She turned quickly when she saw him, her silver eyes catching the faint light again. "Everything okay?" Marcus asked, stepping out of the truck. She hesitated before answering. "I thought I heard something," she said. Her voice was low, almost like she was trying not to be overheard, though there was no one else around for miles. Marcus looked around. The road was empty, and the tall grass on both sides swayed gently in the breeze. The only sound was the distant chirp of night. "Insects, what kind of something?" Marcus asked. She bit her lip, searching for the right words. "A sound in the sky, not like an airplane. Something different." Marcus thought back to that faint hum he had noticed earlier, before they had parted ways. "I might have heard it too," he admitted. The woman shifted uncomfortably. "If it comes back, we should not be here." Marcus frowned slightly. "Why? You think it's dangerous?" Her gaze darted upward, scanning the sky again. "Yes," she said simply. Marcus studied her for a moment. She was not acting like someone who was simply nervous about a flat tire. There was more going on, and he could feel it. "Look," Marcus said gently. "You don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to, but you seem on edge. If there's something I should know, maybe I can help." Her eyes met his, and for a long moment, she seemed to be weighing whether or not to speak. Then she looked away. "It would sound strange," she said. Marcus gave a small shrug. "Strange doesn't scare me. I've heard plenty of strange things in my life." The woman still did not answer directly. Instead, she walked to the back of her car and opened the trunk. Marcus noticed that it was nearly empty, except for the tire tools and a small, smooth case about the size of a briefcase. It had no visible seams or locks, and the surface gleamed like polished stone. She closed the trunk quickly, almost as if she did not want him to look too closely. "I should go," she said, moving toward the driver's door. Marcus stepped forward. "Hang on," he said, his tone calm but firm. "At least let me follow you for a bit. If you're worried about something on the road, it's safer not to be alone." For a moment, she hesitated again. Then she gave a slight nod. "All right," she said, "but if I stop suddenly, do not get out of your truck." Marcus didn't like the sound of that, but he agreed. "Fine. Lead the way." They got into their vehicles and began driving. Marcus kept a steady distance behind her. The road curved gently through the countryside, the only light coming from their headlights. Every now and then, Marcus noticed her glancing at the mirrors, checking the sky, or slowing just slightly as if listening for something. About 10 minutes later, it happened again. That faint hum returned, this time a little louder. It was smooth and constant, unlike the deep rumble of a plane. Marcus scanned the darkness above but still saw nothing. Then the woman's car slowed sharply. Marcus braked, keeping his eyes ahead. Her brake lights glowed red for a moment. Then she pulled off the road into a narrow dirt path leading between two rows of tall trees. Marcus followed without thinking. The path opened into a small clearing surrounded by dense woods. The woman parked her car, got out quickly, and waved for Marcus to do the same. Her movements were urgent but careful, like she did not want to waste a single second. "Stay close to me," she said. Marcus joined her, the cool night air brushing against his face again. The hum was louder now, vibrating faintly in the ground beneath his feet. It seemed to come from everywhere at once. The woman looked up, her eyes scanning the stars. "They are looking for me," she whispered. Marcus frowned. "Who?" Before she could answer, a streak of light cut silently across the sky. It wasn't a shooting star. It moved too slowly, and its glow was too steady. The object passed overhead, casting a faint silver-blue light across the clearing. The woman stepped back into the shadow of a tree. "If they see me, it will be over," she said. Marcus felt a chill run through him. "Are you saying whoever's in that thing and they're after you?" She nodded once. "Yes, and I cannot let them find me, not now." The light passed out of sight, but the hum lingered for a few more moments before fading. The woman waited, still and silent, until she seemed certain it was gone. Then she stepped forward again, her shoulders relaxing slightly. Marcus studied her. "You're not telling me everything," he said. Her silver eyes met his. "If I told you the truth, you might not believe me," she said. Marcus gave a slow, steady reply. "Try me." The woman looked away, her gaze falling on the narrow dirt path behind them. "Not here," she said. "It's not safe to talk. Here." Marcus thought about the streak of light in the sky and the way she had reacted to it. Whatever was going on, it was real enough to scare her. He had no idea what he was stepping into, but something told him that if he walked away now, he would never stop wondering what the truth had been. He nodded toward her car. "All right, you lead, I'll follow, and wherever you're going, I'll make sure you get there safe." For the first time, she gave him a small, genuine smile. "Thank you," she said softly. "I did not expect to meet someone like you tonight." They returned to their vehicles and started down the path again, the hum now gone from the night air. But Marcus knew the peace would not last. Something was following her, something that could travel silently across the stars, and he had just chosen to be part of her escape. The road ahead was quiet again, but Marcus kept his eyes moving. The memory of that glowing object in the sky stayed fresh in his mind. He followed the woman's car at a steady distance, his headlights casting long beams across the dark road. For A while there was nothing unusual. The hum was gone, the air was still, even the night insects seemed calmer. But then Marcus noticed something different. The woman's car began to drift slightly from side to side, as if she was losing focus. A moment later, her brake lights flared and the car slowed to a crawl. Marcus reacted quickly, easing off, the gas and pulling closer. The woman's door opened, and she stepped out slowly. Marcus saw her clutch her stomach, her face tightening with pain. He was out of his truck in seconds. "What's wrong?" he called, moving toward her. She leaned against the side of her car, her breathing shallow. "It's starting," she said in a strained voice. Marcus glanced around, unsure what she meant. "Starting? You mean the baby?" She shook her head quickly, wincing. "No, something else. They are close." Marcus felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. "The people chasing you?" "Yes," she whispered. "I can feel them." Before Marcus could ask more, the hum returned. Louder this time, deep enough to make the ground vibrate faintly under their feet. It was coming from above and behind them. "Get in the truck," Marcus said firmly. The woman hesitated, looking toward the sky. A beam of pale light suddenly cut through the darkness, sweeping across the trees in the distance. The source was still hidden, but it was moving closer. "Now," Marcus urged. She climbed into the passenger side of his truck, holding her stomach with one arm. Marcus jumped into the driver's seat, started the engine, and pressed the gas. Gravel crunched under the tires as they sped forward. The hum grew louder, and Marcus glanced at the mirror. Through the trees, he caught glimpses of a dark shape moving above the road. It wasn't like any aircraft he had seen before. No wings, no tail, no blinking navigation lights. Its surface seemed to absorb the light from the truck's beams, making it almost blend into the night. "They've locked onto us," the woman said quietly, her voice tense but controlled. Marcus tightened his grip on the wheel. "Then we need to make it hard for them to follow." He spotted a narrow side road ahead, unpaved and surrounded by thick forest. Without hesitation, he turned sharply onto it. The truck jolted as it hit the uneven dirt path, dust rising behind them. Branches scraped against the sides, and the road twisted unpredictably. The hum followed. It didn't fade, didn't hesitate. The aircraft moved with them, adjusting easily to every turn. "They're not losing us," Marcus said under his breath. The woman's eyes were fixed ahead. "They won't stop until they have me." Marcus glanced at her. "Why? What do they want with you?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she pointed to a cluster of trees ahead. "Go left there. There's a clearing." Marcus followed, her directions turning hard. The path opened into a wide, grassy area surrounded by tall oaks. The moonlight spilled over the clearing, giving them just enough visibility to see the ground ahead. "Stop here," she said suddenly. Marcus braked, hard, the truck skidding slightly on the grass. "Why are we stopping?" She unbuckled her seatbelt, her face still pale from pain. "Because I can't run anymore, and because we need to be ready." Marcus opened his door, scanning the sky. The hum was almost right above them now. The shape of the craft became clearer, sleek, rounded edges, and no visible means of flight. A circular light on its underside began to brighten, casting an eerie glow over the clearing. "They're going to land," Marcus said. The woman shook her head. "No, they'll try to pull me up with the beam." Marcus frowned. "Pull you? Up? How?" Before he could finish, the beam widened and swept across the clearing, stopping just short of the truck. The grass within the light shimmered faintly, moving as if caught in a soft wind, though the night air around them was still. Marcus could feel the vibration in his chest now. He stepped in front of the woman instinctively, his body tense. "If they want you, they'll have to come through me." Her silver eyes met his, and for the first time, there was no guarded distance in her expression, only a deep, quiet trust. "Then I hope you're as strong as you are kind," she said. The beam shifted again, creeping closer. Marcus backed toward the truck. "We're not just standing here," he said. "Get inside." They climbed in quickly, and Marcus started the truck again. This time, instead of heading for the road, he turned toward a dense section of trees and drove straight through, pushing the vehicle hard over uneven ground. Branches snapped under the tires, and the truck swayed with each bump, but Marcus didn't slow. Behind them, the hum faltered for the first time. The craft couldn't follow as easily between the trees. The beam flickered, then narrowed, searching for them through the gaps in the canopy. "Almost there," Marcus muttered, more to himself than to her. They burst out of the trees onto another dirt road. Marcus turned sharply and sped away, leaving the forest and the glowing light behind them. The hum grew distant again, fading into the night. The woman exhaled slowly, her hand still resting protectively on her stomach. "You saved me," she said quietly. Marcus kept his eyes on the road. "Not yet, but we bought some time." She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Time is enough. For now." Marcus didn't know what danger they were truly facing, but one thing was certain. He had just crossed a line. Whatever chase had started tonight, it was not over. And now he was in it with her. The dirt road twisted sharply through the countryside, and Marcus kept both hands tight on the steering wheel. The truck's headlights cut through the darkness, revealing the uneven ground ahead. Behind them, the night seemed quiet for the moment, but Marcus knew it was only a pause before the next move. The woman sat in the passenger seat, her silver eyes scanning the dark sky through the windshield. Her breathing was steady now, but her posture stayed tense, ready for sudden action. "You think they'll be back?" Marcus asked, his voice low. "They will not give up," she said without hesitation. "They never give up once they have locked on to someone." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then we have to keep moving until we find somewhere they can't follow." She shook her head slightly. "They can follow anywhere, but there are places where they cannot reach easily. We must find one of those." Marcus didn't know what kind of places she meant, but he didn't ask. He focused on the road, his mind running through options. The nearest town was still miles away, and the open fields around them offered no cover. A faint vibration began to hum through the truck again. Marcus felt it before he heard the sound. It was the same deep, smooth tone from before, but now it was growing louder faster than before. "They found us," the woman said quietly. Marcus looked in the rear view mirror. At first there was nothing, just the pale dust rising from the road. Then he saw it, a dark shape gliding silently over the treetops behind them. Its underside glowed faintly, a thin ring of light tracing its edges. Marcus pressed the accelerator harder. The truck jolted over bumps in the road, but he didn't slow down. "Hold on," he said. The aircraft responded instantly. It dropped, lower, closing the distance. A beam of pale light shot downward, sweeping across the road. When it touched the dirt, small pebbles and dust seemed to lift slightly into the air, caught in an unseen pull. "They will try to disable your vehicle," the woman warned. Marcus's mind worked fast. The dirt road ahead split into two paths, one leading into open farmland, the other curving into a cluster of thick woods. He chose the woods without hesitation, turning sharply and throwing up a cloud of dust. The aircraft followed, its beam cutting through the trees as branches snapped under the pull of its energy. The hum deepened, and Marcus felt the steering wheel pull faintly in his hands, as if the truck itself was being tugged backward. "Is that thing trying to drag us?" Marcus asked, keeping his foot hard on the gas. "Yes," she said. "If the beam holds us long enough, we will not be able to move." Marcus gritted his teeth and swerved between trees, forcing the truck to jolt side to side. The rough movement made it harder for the beam to lock fully on them. For a moment, the light flickered and shifted away. "That's working," Marcus said. "We just need more cover." The woman pointed ahead. "There is a river beyond those trees. If we reach it, the water will scatter their sensors." Marcus drove harder, the truck bouncing over roots and rocks. The glow above them moved erratically. Now, the aircraft struggling to follow at low altitude in the dense woods. Branches slapped against the windshield, and Marcus could hear the faint crack of wood breaking under the craft's invisible pull. The sound of rushing water began to rise ahead of them. "We're close," Marcus said. Suddenly, a brighter light flared above them. The beam widened and came down in front of the truck, blocking the path like a curtain of pale fire. Marcus slammed the brakes, the tires skidding in the dirt. The beam wasn't just light. It shimmered and shifted like a wall of liquid air, distorting the trees behind it. "They are trying to trap us," the woman said sharply. Marcus reversed hard, turning the truck sideways. The aircraft moved to match them, keeping the beam close. For a second, Marcus thought they had no way through. Then he spotted a narrow slope to the right, leading down toward the sound of the river. "Hold tight," Marcus warned. Without giving himself time to think twice, he steered toward the slope. The truck's tires slid down the incline, kicking up dirt and loose rocks. The sound of the hum faded slightly as the canopy above grew thicker, hiding them from direct view. They reached the riverbank, the water rushing fast under the moonlight. Marcus didn't slow. He drove straight into the shallows, the cold, spray hitting the windshield. The current pulled at the tires, but the truck kept moving. The woman looked up at the dark sky beyond the branches. "They can't track clearly through moving water," she said. Marcus kept the truck angled along the river until they reached a natural bend surrounded by high rock on both sides. He eased the truck to a stop under the cover of an overhanging ledge. For a moment, they just listened. The only sound was the rush of water and the soft ticking of the truck's cooling engine. The hum was gone. Marcus turned to her. "We bought ourselves a little more time. But they're not just going to give up, are they?" She shook her head slowly. "No. They will try again. And next time they will not make the same mistake." Marcus leaned back in his seat, catching his breath. "Then you'd better start telling me what we're dealing with. Because if I'm going to help you, I need to know what's really going on." Her silver eyes met his, and after a long pause, she nodded. "I will tell you," she said quietly. "But once you hear it, you will understand why I must keep moving, and why they must not catch me." Marcus didn't know what kind of truth was coming, but he was ready to hear it. Whatever this was, it had already pulled him into something far bigger than himself, and from the way the woman spoke, he had a feeling the real danger hadn't even started yet. The moonlight filtered through the overhanging rock, casting pale silver shapes across the riverbank. Marcus sat with the engine off, listening to the steady sound of rushing water. For a few minutes, neither he nor the woman spoke. Both were, catching their breath after the tense chase. Finally, Marcus broke the silence. "All right, I think I've earned an explanation. Who are you and why are they chasing you?" The woman sat quietly for a moment, her silver eyes reflecting the moonlight. Then she spoke in a slow, steady voice. "My name is Sarah. I am not from this world." Marcus didn't flinch, though the words settled heavily in the air. "Not from this world," he repeated. "You mean not from Earth?" She nodded. "I come from a place far beyond your sky, a place your people have never visited." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "Then what are you doing here?" Sarah's hand moved to her stomach, her fingers curling protectively. "I was sent to keep something safe. Or rather, someone." Marcus's gaze followed her hand. "Your child?" Her eyes softened. "Yes. My child is very important. More important than anyone I have ever known. If those pursuing us succeed, they will take him, and everything my people have fought for will be lost." Marcus's voice stayed calm. Who exactly are they? Sarah looked toward the dark forest beyond the river. They call themselves hunters. They are not from my home, but from another place. Their purpose is to track and capture those they are sent after. They do not bargain, they do not listen, and they do not fail, unless someone stops them. Marcus rubbed his jaw, thinking. So these hunters, they came all the way here for you and your child? Sarah nodded again. My people are scattered. We are in hiding after a great war. The child I carry is the last heir to a line that could unite us again. The hunters were hired to ensure that never happens. Marcus took a slow breath. So you're saying this isn't just about you. If they take the child, your people lose everything. Yes, she said quietly, and they will not care what happens to your world in the process. If they believe you are helping me, they will mark you too. Marcus gave a faint half smile. Too late for that, isn't it? I'm already helping you. Sarah looked at him for a long moment. You could leave. You could walk away now and never see me again. They might not follow you if you do. Marcus shook his head. I'm not built that way. I couldn't leave you out here with those things after you. Besides, he gave a small shrug. If I walked away now, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering what happened to you and your kid. Sarah's expression softened. Your people. You have something my people often forget. You help strangers without knowing what you gain in return. That is rare where I come from. Marcus gave a small chuckle. Maybe it's rare here too, but my grandma always said kindness isn't something you measure. You just do it. For the first time, Sarah's lips curved into a true smile. Then perhaps I was right to trust you. Marcus leaned back in his seat. So what's the plan? You've been running since I found you. We can't keep this up forever. Sarah's gaze drifted to the river, its surface shimmering under the moonlight. There is a place not far from here, hidden even from the hunters. My people left it long ago, but it still stands. If we reach it, we can use what is inside to signal for help. Marcus frowned slightly. Signal? You mean send a message to your people? Yes, she said. They will come for me. But it will take time. Until then, we must keep the hunters away. Marcus nodded slowly. All right. Where is this place? Across the river, Sarah said, and through the hills beyond. But we must travel carefully. The hunters will search every open path. We will have to move where they cannot see easily. Marcus started the truck again, the rumble breaking the quiet. Then we'd better get moving before they figure out we're here. But before he shifted into gear, Sarah reached into the folds of her strange clothing and pulled out a small object. It was a silver pendant, shaped like a smooth drop of water. It caught the moonlight, shining faintly. This is for you, she said, holding it out. Marcus looked at it curiously. What is it? A mark of trust, she said. If you wear it, my people will know you are a friend. And if you ever need help, hold it to the sky and think of me. Marcus accepted it, feeling its cool, smooth surface in his palm. Feels heavier than it looks, he remarked. It carries a piece of my home, Sarah said simply. It will not let you be forgotten. Marcus put the pendant in his jacket pocket and gave her a short nod. All right then, let's get you to this hidden place before your friends up there catch up to us. As the truck rolled slowly along the shallow edge of the river, Marcus kept one hand on the wheel and one eye on the trees. Somewhere above, unseen in the shadows of the night, the hunters were searching. Sarah sat quietly beside him, one hand resting over her stomach, her gaze fixed on the path ahead. She had chosen to trust Marcus with the truth, and now their fates were tied together. The river curved sharply, and Marcus steered the truck up a gentle bank, back onto solid ground. The land ahead sloped into rolling hills, their shapes dark against the starlit sky. Marcus felt the pendant in his pocket and tightened his grip on the wheel. Whatever lay ahead, the hills, the hidden refuge, the hunters. He knew there was no turning back. The truck rumbled over uneven ground as Marcus guided it through the hills. The moon hung low now, and the sky carried the faintest hint of dawn. The pale light painted the slopes in silver and blue, making it easier to see the winding path ahead. Sarah kept glancing behind them, her silver eyes sharp and alert. She spoke quietly. "The hunters will not stop. They move fast. If we are lucky, they have not yet found our trail." Marcus kept his voice steady. "Then we make our own luck." The hills grew steeper, forcing the truck to slow. At the crest of one rise, Marcus stopped the vehicle and switched off the engine. The sudden quiet felt heavy. Only the soft rush of wind over the grass broke the silence. Sarah looked at him, puzzled. "Why are we stopping?" Marcus scanned the horizon. "If we keep going in a straight line, they'll follow our tracks right to that hidden place of yours. We need to give them something else to chase." Sarah tilted her head slightly. "You mean a false trail?" Marcus nodded. "Exactly. If they believe we went another way, we might buy enough time for you to get to safety." Her voice was calm but firm. "That will be dangerous. The one who leads them is clever. He will not be fooled for long." Marcus gave a small smile. "Then I just need to be clever enough to keep them busy." He stepped out of the truck and opened the rear compartment. From inside, he pulled out a long coil of rope, a flashlight, and a can of oil he used for the engine. Sarah stepped closer. "What will you do with those?" Marcus started walking toward a lower slope. "I'm going to leave them something to find. Something that makes them think we crossed this valley instead of heading into the hills." Sarah followed him a few steps, but Marcus stopped and turned to her. "You should wait here. The less you move, the fewer tracks you leave." She hesitated. "If they catch you," he cut her off gently. "They won't. I grew up in these hills. I know how to disappear when I need to." Sarah studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Be careful." Marcus moved quickly, using the rope to drag the oil can along the ground, creating a false trail of drops. The scent would carry in the air, giving the hunters something to follow. He made the path twist through the grass, leading toward the far valley. Every so often, he pressed the rope into the dirt to create marks that looked like the trail of something heavy being carried. After almost an hour, the false trail was complete. Marcus circled back carefully, stepping only on rocks and patches of dry earth to avoid leaving prints. When he returned to the truck, Sarah was waiting, her expression unreadable. "It is done?" Marcus nodded. "If they take the bait, they'll be halfway across that valley before they realize we're not there." Without another word, they climbed back into the truck and began moving again. Marcus took the vehicle along a narrow path between two ridges. The road was rough, and the tires bounced over stones, but it kept them out of open sight. As the first light of morning touched the sky, Sarah pointed ahead. "There. Do you see it?" Marcus squinted. At first, he saw only rocks and shadows. Then his eyes picked out a faint outline, the remains of an ancient stone structure, partly hidden by the slope of the hill. "That's the place?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "It was built by my people long before I was born. It is small, but strong, and it has what we need to send the signal." Marcus drove the truck behind a cluster of boulders, hiding it from view. They continued, on foot, moving carefully over the rocky ground. When they reached the structure, Marcus ran his hand along the weathered stone. "Looks like it's been here for centuries." "It has," Sarah replied, "but its heart still works." She pushed open a heavy door made of metal that had not rusted despite the years. Inside, the air was cool and still. Strange markings covered the walls, faint but still visible. In the center of the room stood a tall device made of dark glass and silver metal. It looked dormant, but Sarah moved toward it with a sense of purpose. She touched a panel, and soft light flowed across its surface. Marcus stepped closer. "Is that the signal?" "Yes," she said. "Once it is active, my people will know I am here, but it will take them days to arrive. We must survive until then." Marcus frowned slightly. "Which means keeping the hunters from finding this place." Sarah looked at him. "You have already done more than I could have hoped. If you wish to leave now, I will not ask more of you." Marcus shook his head. "Leaving you here alone isn't an option. I'll help hold them off." For a moment, her eyes held his. "Then we will face them together." They spent the next few hours preparing. Marcus found high ground near the ridge where he could watch for movement. Sarah adjusted the device, making sure its signal stayed strong. By midday, Marcus spotted movement in the valley below. Figures moved like shadows across the land, tall, swift, and too precise to be human. "They're coming," he said as he returned to the shelter. Sarah's voice was calm. "Then it begins." Marcus tightened the straps on his pack and checked the small tools and supplies he had brought from the truck. "If they find us, we make it as hard as possible for them to get inside. Every minute we delay them is a minute closer to your people arriving." Sarah gave a small nod. "And if they try to take you?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Then they'll find out humans can be stubborn." The two of them stood in the shadow of the ancient shelter, the quiet of the hills around them heavy with waiting. In the distance, the shapes of the hunters moved steadily closer. The sun climbed higher, the air warming, but neither of them stepped back. Whatever happened next, they would face it side by side. The morning sun climbed higher as Marcus and Sarah stood near the ancient stone shelter. The hills around them were quiet now, but Marcus knew that calm was only temporary. The shapes he had seen moving through the valley below were hunters, closing in steadily. Time was running out. Marcus tightened the straps on his pack and checked his supplies once more. He had a flashlight, rope, some tools, and his trusted pocket knife. It was not much, but it was all he had. Sarah's hands rested gently on her stomach, her silver eyes scanning the horizon with calm determination. "We cannot let them get inside," Marcus said. "If they breach this place, it will be over." Sarah nodded. "This place was built to protect my people's secrets. The walls are strong, but the hunters are relentless." Marcus glanced at the device inside the shelter, the one Sarah had activated to send the signal. It glowed softly, humming with energy. "Help is coming," she reminded him. "But they will not arrive soon enough." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then we hold them off until they do." He moved toward the ridge that overlooked the valley, picking a spot where he could see the approaching hunters clearly. From this height, the valley stretched wide, the tall grass waving gently in the morning breeze. Slowly, he counted the figures, 10, maybe 12, moving with purpose and silence. Their movements were too smooth and quick to be natural. "They're good," Marcus muttered under his breath. "Better than any human soldiers." Sarah joined him, her voice steady. "They were designed for hunting, for tracking without fail. But they have not faced a human's stubbornness." Marcus smiled faintly. "You have a way with words." The hunters had noticed them now. One raised a hand and the ground trembled slightly. Marcus felt a low vibration through his boots. The lead hunter had technology far beyond anything Marcus had ever seen. Suddenly, a series of bright lights shot toward the shelter. Marcus ducked behind a large rock as beams of energy struck the stone walls. The shelter held, but the impacts shook the ground. Sarah whispered, "They will try to break through." Marcus peeked out, spotting another group of hunters moving around the shelter's edges, trying to find a weak point. He knew he had to act. He reached into his pack and pulled out the rope and can of oil. Quickly, he poured the oil over dry leaves and twigs near the rocks. Using his flashlight, he sparked a small fire. The flames rose quickly, sending smoke curling into the sky. The fire was small but bright, and the smoke thick. It caught the hunter's attention immediately. One hunter changed direction, moving toward the smoke. Marcus grinned. "That's one less to watch us." But he knew the fire was only a distraction. More hunters would arrive soon. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook harder. The lead hunter activated a device, and a deep hum filled the air. Sarah looked worried. "They are preparing to use a stronger weapon." Marcus looked around, thinking fast. There were rocks and fallen branches nearby. He gathered what he could carry and set small traps. Loose stones balanced precariously on branches, hidden pits covered with leaves, and tangles of thick vines. "Not perfect," he muttered, "but it might slow them down." The first hunter approached cautiously, stepping right into one of the traps. The rock above him crashed down, forcing him to jump back. Another hunter stumbled into a pit, and Marcus could see surprise in their cold eyes. Sarah smiled. "They are not used to terrain like this." Marcus nodded. "Neither am I." The battle of patience began. For hours, Marcus and Sarah worked together, setting traps and using the terrain to their advantage. The hunters tried to find ways around, but the hills and rocky ground made it difficult. Marcus felt tired but focused. He thought about the people waiting for help, about the child Sarah carried, and about the kindness that had brought him here. Late in the afternoon, a bright flash appeared in the sky above the hills. Marcus looked up and saw a small fleet of ships approaching, shining against the blue sky. Sarah's eyes brightened. "They have come." The hunters sensed it too. They paused their attack and looked skyward. The tension in the air changed. Marcus moved towards Sarah, offering his hand. "You did it. Your people are here." She took his hand gently. "Because of you. Your courage made this possible." The ships landed on the hilltops nearby. From them came figures similar to Sarah, strong, calm, and powerful. They quickly moved to secure the area. The hunters, realizing they were outnumbered, began to retreat, disappearing into the shadows. Marcus watched as the new arrivals surrounded the shelter. One of them placed a hand on the signal device, and it pulsed brightly. Sarah looked at Marcus with gratitude. "You saved my life and the future of my people." Marcus smiled warmly. "I only did what anyone should do, help when it's needed." As the sun began to set, Marcus stood among new friends and allies. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, hope was real. He looked at Sarah and her unborn child and knew this was just the beginning of something greater.